All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. You know, it was a long weekend for me, and so many things took place over the weekend. And of course, I guess it was 4th of July and all the excitement, and all the celebration. But when you look at a city like Chicago, as the media ad nauseum tries to lambaste Donald Trump, and people like George Will are making him into Todd Aiken, and I think Bill Kristol gave a great answer. Saying that he's the complete opposite of Todd Aiken, and that Bernie Sanders is more of a problem for the Democratic Party than Donald Trump is for the Republican Party. You look at what happened in Chicago. Can we put up the picture? This is 7-year-old Amari Brown. 7-year-old, 87. 7-year-old Amari Brown. Do we have it? It's the only picture. Okay. There he is. Now, keep the picture like that. He's dead. He was killed in Chicago. One of about 10 people shot and killed, 50 some odd wounded, all by gun violence. Crooks, thugs, hoods, vandals with guns who don't go to jail when they kill little boys like that, or shoot people, or get taken into custody on a gun charge. They're in and they're out. Or maybe they're in for a month or 2 or 3. Put the picture back up. I want to show you. I want you to get a good look at this little boy who's dead. And one of the reasons he's dead, well, the thug who's still at large as far as I know, who shot him. And by the way, keep him up there, Barack Obama, if you had a son, he might have looked. No, let me even say might have, because I think he said if I had a son, he would have looked like Trayvon Martin. If you had a son, he would have looked like Amari Brown. Or do your fictional sons only look like thugs? Haven't heard boo from Barack Obama. This boy doesn't count to Barack Obama. A guy beating up a Hispanic man and pounding his head into the concrete and grabbing for his gun. That's the thug who Obama says, if I had a son, he would have looked like Trayvon. But Obama wouldn't have had a son who looked like Amari. Now put the picture back up again, because that is what passes as a father to that little boy. Reportedly, this gang banger father, thug, punk, was the target of the shooter. And he's not even cooperating in the investigation into who killed his son. That's what we're up against in this country. That's what we're up against in this country. Shh, let's talk about Donald Trump and what he said about Mexicans. That's going to solve something. That's going to solve something. Where's the President of the United States using this little boy as the face of what has to stop, and saying, if I had a son, he would have looked like Amari Brown? Because he doesn't feel it. He doesn't feel Christians who have their heads chopped off. He doesn't feel Jewish rabbis who are slaughtered in a Jerusalem synagogue with a meat cleaver. He doesn't feel it when cops get killed. No, but he feels it when Michael Brown, another two-bit thug, is legitimately shot in self-defense by a cop. He feels it when Trayvon Martin is legitimately shot in self-defense by a man who is getting beaten to a pulp by him. And of course, he feels it if any Muslim anywhere is harmed. But he doesn't feel it otherwise. He doesn't feel it when poor black children and youngsters and young men are gunned down in cold blood in cities like Chicago. Doesn't feel it. Just not in him. Not who he is. Believe me, otherwise you would have heard from him. You would have heard from him. Have you heard from him on this? I don't think so. Because if he had a son, he would only look like Trayvon. He wouldn't look like this young man. Get it? Okay, I'm glad you got it. I'm drawn to a piece here, a Michelle Malkin piece, April 28, 2010, townhall.com, where she talks about how Mexico treats its illegal aliens. Now, I'm not saying that we should treat them this way, don't get me wrong. But where's the talk about Mexico and their treatment of people who enter their country illegally from the southern border? Now you're saying, Steve, why aren't you talking about the young lady who was murdered in San Francisco by the Mexican immigrant who was convicted of 7 felonies and left and came back to this country 6 times? Yeah, there he is. We'll do him and give me 5. We got a special place reserved for the scum like him. Okay? But Michelle Malkin's piece is just, she talked about at the time the Mexican president Calderon accused Arizona of opening the door to intolerance, hate, discrimination, and abuse in law enforcement. But Arizona has nothing on Mexico, she writes, when it comes to cracking down on illegal aliens. While Open Borders activists decry new enforcement measures cracking down into law as Nazi zona, she goes on to describe what the Mexican government does to illegals when they catch them. If outsiders, illegal entry into the country is equivalent of a felony punishable by 2 years imprisonment. Document fraud is subject to fine and imprisonment. Alien marriage, fraud, so is alien marriage fraud. Evading deportation is a serious crime. The bottom line is, you go to jail for a long time if you break into Mexico from the southern border, if you're lucky, because you may wind up dead if you break into Mexico from their southern border. We're coming back. The Malzberg panel's next.